What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we have some more patch notes for Balatro. Local Thunk hit us with some late updates this Friday night, and we're going to have a little bit of new material to test out in the beta. So the patch is still not yet live, we're still on experimental, but we've upgraded from 1.01C to E. And here are the changes that Local Thunk made. This is my first reaction. I have not read these. I just got home from dinner, and here we are making the video. So add some more localization, which is always great. I know we want this game to be available to as many languages as possible. Made some non-retroactive scaling jokers incompatible with Perishable. Ceremonial, Dagger, Ride the Bus, Runner, Constellation, Green Joker, Red Card, Madness, Square Joker, Vampire, Rocket, Obelisk, Lucky Cat, Flash Card, Spare Trousers, Castle, and Wii. So this is pretty interesting, basically making sure that Perishable doesn't go on jokers that would be basically useless as Perishable. And I understand this thinking. Let's say you have Wii, right? You're never going to be able to really scale it up enough to make it useful in those 5 rounds. So I understand this change. I kind of agree with this change. I do think this is not going to affect the amount you see them in the shops, though. I think you're probably going to still see 30%, 30%, and 30%. So overall, I think this is a good change. Perishable still comes up. It's just going to be on jokers that are non-scaling. And what non-retroactive scaling means is stuff like Supernova. So if I get a Supernova, and I've already played high card 13 times, I still get plus 13 volt as soon as I get that joker into my joker slot. However, that one can be perishable because it's retroactively scaling. These ones are not. You need to do new things to scale these jokers. So I think this change makes a lot of sense. Removed more motion from the reduced motion mode. I think this makes sense if we're going to have the reduced motion mode. Just make sure it works all the way and thoroughly works for those people who do feel a little bit of sickness while playing the game. Change runner. Now starts at plus 0 chips and gives plus 15 per straight. Was plus 20 and plus 10 per straight. This is a very interesting change. So you did have the ability to grab runner right away just to get a quick extra 20 chips. That's no longer on the table. However, at plus 15 chips per straight, it is a little bit more viable for straight runs. Balatro University, someone who plays a lot of straights, has done a lot of content surrounding this. And the fact that he doesn't think runner is a good joker because straights already scale so quickly when you use Saturn planet cards with its chips. At plus 15, we'll see if Balatro University thinks it's more viable. I personally still don't play a ton of straight builds. I don't think this is going to push me to start using runner. I think if you gave me plus 20, it would make sense. I think plus 15 is very much approaching that viability range. Kind of throw away the, starting plus 20 versus starting with plus 0. That's not going to matter if you're going to be really dedicated to scaling the joker. So all in all, I think this does make runner more powerful. Still don't know if it's extremely viable. Change Square Joker now starts with plus 0, was plus 16, now increased to plus 5 chips, was plus 4. Again, I think Square Joker did need a slight buff. I've been saying I think it should be plus 5 chips, so I'm happy with that change. However, I do kind of wish we only brought it down to maybe plus 10 when it starts, not plus 0. I do think basically having those 2 extra hands you don't have to play to get to 10 would make sense. All in all, I do think this is an overall buff. I'm excited to test it out. But yeah, I not as much of a buff as you think considering you start with plus 0. But I guess, if you're playing a high card build, you could play 4 hands in 1 round and now you're already where you were and you're scaling at a higher rate. So again, a pretty obvious buff. Changed Bloodstone now gives times 1.5 per heart card. Was times 2. Can we get 07s in the comments for Bloodstone? There's a time period here where hitting at a 50% rate at times 2 was incredible. Hearts were so powerful. This obviously was needed. I like this change. I like the idea of not reverting it back to 1 and 3. So this way, if you have a oops all 6s, Bloodstone is still going to hit every single time, but reducing the actual mult implication and putting it in line with something like Ancient Joker, I think makes sense. I think it puts it in line with other uncommon suit jokers like Arrowhead. So good change, was needed. Sad to see an overpowered joker go, though. It was fun for the time we got to experiment with it being so OP. Changed Wii Joker now starts at plus 0 chips, was plus 10. I see what Local Thunk's doing here. He's kind of aligning all of these. I don't think this was really needed, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to affect my game. Change Stuntman, now rare, was $7, and $7 was uncommon and $6. Look, Stuntman is so powerful, it should be rare. This hurts. This is going to make, I think, gold stake runs a little bit harder, but now with the new way gold stakes are played, it's not so reliant on high cards, so it's not the end of the world, and all in all, Stuntman should be a rare Joker in my opinion. Now, I wouldn't mind it going back up to 300 chips if we're going to be okay with it being rare, but I think even at 250, there's an argument for it. Let's be honest, it probably was, outside of, you know, a few circumstances on very specific uncommon Jokers, the best uncommon you could hope for. So yeah, this change makes a lot of sense. +2 on it, but we'll have to test it out and see how often we now use Stuntman. Change Vampire, now uncommon and $7, was rare and 8. Yes. My whole complaint about the Vampire change when it originally came out was it was one too many nerfs. If we were going to nerf it to only be on scoring cards and reduce the scaling at which it goes up from 0.2 to 0.1, it needed to stay uncommon. I think moving it to the rare pile made it kind of annoying because you didn't want to use Wraith on it, or you didn't want to see it with the Wraith. It just wasn't equivalent to the other rare Jokers. This is perfect. I think the nerfs were warranted, but it should stay in uncommon, so I'm all for this change. I'm happy to see it, and I think Stuntman is a good replacement for it in that rare pool. Since the margins are no longer as razor thin on high stakes, I've slightly increased anti-scaling for mid and late antes. Changed anti-scaling in green stakes 24 to 26, anti-4 7 to 8, anti-5 1800 to, or 18,000 to 20,000, anti-6 32,000 to 36, anti-7 56k to 60k, and anti-8 90k to 100k. And then the purple stake also getting a little bit of a scary buff. Anti-3 3,000 to 3,200, anti-4 8,000 9,000, anti-5 22k to 25k, anti-6 50k to 60k, 7 90k to 110k, and then anti-8 180,000 to 200,000. That is, we'll see. I do think the margins are less razor thin. I think Local Thunk is absolutely correct about that. I also don't consider myself the best high stakes player. But this is going to be interesting. I'm excited to test out gold stakes tomorrow on stream and really see how this plays. I don't think this is a bad change, but I do think it's going to be rough out here in the orange and gold stakes. I am interested to see how this balances with the new kind of buff or easement on the perishable tag, you know, that we just talked about with bullet point 2. I don't hate it. I'll definitely take this trade-off where this scales quicker, but I no longer have stuff like Ride the Bus as perishable. So give and take here. I'm interested to see how it plays. I think it is going to be more fun. Change Eternal Rental Perishable sticker location to be closer to the top right corner. This is probably to do with hologram, because if you had 2 stickers on hologram, you couldn't see the second sticker. And I think multiple people accidentally bought hologram and was like, oh my god, it's also a rental. What did I just do? Banned top up tag and antimatter on Jokerless challenge. Rest in peace, the ability to get 1 Joker on the Jokerless challenge. I thought it was kind of a fun Easter egg, but I get it. Fix a bug where perishable Jokers were still giving their effect when debuffed. Didn't run into that personally. Fix a bug in the rate at which eternal perishable Jokers were being generated. And fixed a bug where buffoon packs could show up in Jokerless. Never really had any of those bugs, but I'm glad they're fixed. And all in all, I really am interested to see how all these changes play. I really don't have any complaints. I think in the last update when we ran through these changes, I was a little skeptical of some things, but here, I mean, this all sounds like great news. Of course, we have to test and play it. That's why it's in the experimental build. So go ahead, you can go test it. And remember, if you want to play this, you have to go on Steam, go to properties for Balatro, go to betas, and hit the drop down and choose the experimental build, and then you'll be able to play on this experimental patch. And don't forget, give your feedback in the Discord. Local Thunk reads this stuff. He wants to hear all of our feedback. And if you run into any bugs, post them in the Discord. That's what this is all about. It's a beta for this patch. So, you know, the community appreciates it very much when you test out the game. So thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on these new updates? And we'll see you for the next one very soon.
I'm not subscribed to Zano on YouTube. And I'm sorry. There we go. We're subscribed. Subscription ad.